but there was a ransom note that had been left in the home, a 3-page ransom note.
Yes, there was a ransom note left on the back spiral staircase, but yet there was no kidnapping. JonBenet was taken to the basement and murdered. So this video is about what is the logic of the ransom note if there was no kidnapping and there would be no call. Detective Linda Arndt, age 36. One of the first things John told me after he came into the living room and had covered JonBenet's body was, "It has to be an inside job." John told me I was right. It had to be someone who knew the family. John told me that no one knows about the wine cellar in the basement. Officer Rick French, age 34. John pointed out a 3-page handwritten note which was laid on the wooden floor just west of the kitchen area. John told me that his wife had found the note on the bottom step of a spiral staircase which led to the upper levels of the house. So again, the insider information. How would somebody know that the Ramseys traveled up and down that staircase as opposed to the front staircase? Or why not just leave the ransom note in JonBenet's bedroom? Mrs. Ramsey told me that she had gone into JonBenet's room at about 5:45 a.m. to wake her in preparation for a short trip the family was to take later that day. She found JonBenet's room empty and then discovered the note as she walked down the stairs. She immediately called the police. Now this, to me, seems like the most logical way, if this really happened, would have happened, that Patsy would have went into JonBenet's room first thing. Then, when she was missing, go down and find the ransom note. Sergeant Robert Whitson, age 43. I'm pretty good at voices, so I'll try to do my best impression of him.
I think there were 7 or 9 pages missing out of the notepad that was used to write the ransom note. Those were never found.
Yeah, that was okay. He could have put a little more gravel in his voice, though. A few minutes later, Detective Cathcart returned to the room to show me something in the notepad which had been identified as Mrs. Ramsey's handwriting sample. There were 2 or 3 pages of writing. Then there was a page which was written in a felt marker that stated Mr. and Mrs. R., which matched the same type of writing in the ransom note. At that time, in my mind, I questioned if Patsy Ramsey was a possible suspect. I asked myself, why would a stranger take the time to stay in the Ramseys' house and write a ransom note? At that time, the focus of the investigation changed to include a possible family member as well as someone from outside the family. The ransom note consists of 3 paragraphs, and I split off the 3rd paragraph into the closing. What I've done is write a brief few words of each sentence in the ransom note, and then I wanted to go over the ransom note and point out how it makes sense to be a ransom or it doesn't make sense. So the first paragraph starts with listen carefully. And this is kind of like something out of a movie. So what is the point of saying listen carefully? I don't think the person is going to ignore the ransom note. 2. Small foreign faction. Would a ransomer spend his time saying that we're a small foreign faction? And then number 3, the strangest thing written in the ransom note is, "We respect your business." Why in the world would somebody write that? Except maybe Patsy, because she felt a little guilty writing to John and putting a burden on him. Now the second paragraph of the ransom note is the most logical and seems like a real ransom note. The first sentence, withdraw $118,000. The second, we want the money in hundreds and twenties. The third is a little strange, the adequate size attaché. Still, you would need something to carry the money. 4, the brown paper bag. Not sure why you would want to switch from the attaché to a paper bag, but that could be logical for the ransomers, that they would call between 8 and 10 a.m. tomorrow. The call wasn't going to be on that day, it was going to be on the next day. And then the exchange would be exhausting, so John should rest. Odd to be thinking so much about John, but could be. And then the last sentence makes some sense, that if they got the money, instead of waiting till the next day for the call, they might call earlier to arrange for the exchange. Now the third paragraph is the most telling to me, that JonBenet was dead already. That's why it has all these threats, and she dies because she was dead. And it doesn't seem like a true ransom note with these things in it. One would have been sufficient. But we have the first sentence, deviation from the instructions will equal the execution of your daughter. You won't get her body back for proper burial. Don't provoke the 2 gentlemen watching your daughter. Speaking to the police, the FBI, etc. She'll be beheaded. Again, she was strangled with a garrote, and the cord was deeply embedded into her neck. So that beheaded might have been in the mind of the author of the ransom note. Don't talk to a stray dog, she dies. Don't alert the bank, she dies. Don't tamper with the money, she dies. You'll be scanned for electronic devices, she dies. And then it just says that they're aware of countermeasures and tactics, kind of bragging. And it's like a warning. And then you again have the threat of violence to JonBenet, the 99% chance of killing her and 100% chance of getting her back, and that they are under constant scrutiny. So this whole page seems like overkill. It's overkill because JonBenet was killed. Now the closing of the letter definitely sounds like an insider, because it sounds like they've been rambling on with this letter, and then they've kind of got comfortable talking now. Don't grow a brain, John. You're not the only fat cat and another threat to kill JonBenet. Don't underestimate us. Use that good Southern common sense. It's up to you now. It's very personal at this point, and the writer seems to have kind of forgotten they're writing a ransom note. They're talking directly to John now. And then it concludes with the Victory SBTC, the foreign faction. Now most people feel that this ransom note was written by Patsy to deceive the police and pretend like JonBenet was kidnapped and held for ransom because either Patsy or John or Burke killed JonBenet. And so that's the reason, the overall total reason for the ransom note. Now, there's other people, including myself, that agree with that, but go beyond that. That the ransom note was to dispose of JonBenet's body. That they were going to go to the bank and take JonBenet's body out of the house inside the suitcase, and then dispose of her body, and then get the money, come back to the house and put it in a bag, and then go out and have a phony exchange. And that's why there's certain things in the ransom note, like the ransom amount, $118,000, because that was a sum of money that John or Patsy knew that they would be able to obtain from the bank. And it would ruin their whole plan if, say, they asked for $1 million and they couldn't get $1 million from their bank. Then they would have JonBenet's body still. But they knew the bank would have that money. And I think it's the reason for the call being the next day and to be arrested. I think they might have thought the police would leave their house that morning and they would come back the next day for the exchange. But the police thought that the call was going to be coming in that morning, even though it said it would be coming in between 8 and 10 a.m. tomorrow. Well, that ends this episode of Unsolved, and I'll see you tomorrow for the Zodiac Killer case.